All right, well, good morning. How's everybody? Good, it's 9. I'm always wondering how this crowd's going to be every week. Hey, I like that. There we go. A few things real quick before I get started. Number one is about that. So this week, we talked about this as money came in for our projects, we would begin looking at it and beginning that process. So we are starting the transition of our lobby this week. Now, it's going to take some time to go through that because things got to be done in the right order. So this starting, Thursday? They started painting. So some things out there are going to be changing this week. They should be done by the end of this week. And then we'll be looking at a few other things coming in the few weeks to come. So everything else, like this week up there in the chapel, we're going to be doing the sound now. So hopefully that will be taking place. The sound will be done up there in the chapel, or at least be close to being done up there. And then the offices where Liz is ready to get in her office, and it's been under construction now for a while. But we're not far from there as well. So a lot of things, we're kind of like starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And but I'm going to hold off on any other details right now that I'm going to talk to you about here in 2 weeks. I'm really excited about this new series we're going to start in 2 weeks. You're going to benefit from it, I believe. I think other people are going to benefit from that. But more excitement. We're going to talk to you more about that here, not next Sunday, but 2 weeks from today, and to our launch Sunday for year 4. So that's some of the things that's going on right now. So bear with us. Lobby is going to be under construction for a little while, but things will be happening as weeks go on, okay? So let's talk about today. Let's talk about what we're doing. Right now, we started a series called Staycation, Living a Life on Mission. It's not like a normal series we're doing. It's literally nuts and bolts of ministry, the hands and feet of Christ, what we are expected to do as followers of Jesus. I think like a series like this also, if you're not a Christian, you can really see the point of why we follow Jesus, and maybe that's something you want to be a part of. But for everybody else, this is kind of like our DNA. This is what we should be doing and what should be going on. This has been kind of a fun series for me. At the same time, a hard series for me because I'm one of those who are like let's talk about the resurrection and we need to pause and we got to really talk about because of the resurrection, here's the expectations that we as followers are to do. And so our preparation for this series is the fall. This is why we've spent a number of weeks on this, is to get ready for the fall, moving into winter and beyond. This is why really what we're doing. Now, let me say it this way. Let me tell you really why this series is really important. Over the last number of months, to be honest with you, I don't know how many right now, but I've talked to a number of individuals who's 50, 60, 70 and older, and talking to them about what's going on and how are they feeling about our culture and our world right now. And a number of them have told me that in their lifetime, they've never seen so much hurt, pain, and turmoil. In fact, they don't know how to deal with it. And so, and I feel like, the only way to know how to deal with it is just kind of live through it, trying to figure out how do you live through the pain and the differences and the division that we're experiencing and we're seeing. This is really difficult. And if we are experiencing so much pain and turmoil in our world, then, can I say it this way? This is the greatest time for the church to shine. Does that make sense? Are you all with me? I know this is the 9 o'clock hour, but I got to get some emotion out of you people today, okay? The point is that you and I have an obligation and almost an excitement to say, you're right. This is our time to shine. Because in let's just be honest, a very hopeless world, we have hope. We do, we have hope. We're not worried, in a sense, how this is all going to turn out, because we know how this is all going to turn out. We know the end of the story. Victory's coming. But it also tells us in order for victory to come, we're going to go through a lot of pain. We're going to go through a lot of turmoil. And that's the moment the church is rising up. You know, I'm a part of this pastors, a few pastors group pages on Facebook, and one of them is with pastors around the world. And like just this past week, they were calling on pastors around the world to pray for those in Afghanistan because they had an execution date for thousands of Christians the next day. And we're still kind of waiting on to hear what happened. So we all dropped what we were doing, or at least I did when we read that statement, and we were reading this from a pastor who was living in the north side of the country of Egypt. And we just started praying. And we're hoping that God did something. You know, because we're at the same time, as much as we want to die for our faith, at least followers of Jesus should have that desire. You know, we want to give our life for Christ. At the same time, we need Christians to be alive to spread the gospel. You know, and so this is the thing, is we're praying that God protect your church, protect your people, so that the gospel can continue to be spread, at least in Afghanistan and Iraq right now. I mean, this is crazy, the things that are going on in our world. And so we, right here in our own community, have to be people who are ready to serve the least of these. We have to be people ready to serve our enemy. We have to be people who are ready to love on those who you feel like, man, I just don't know if I can love them. But that's the point of Jesus. That's exactly why we're doing this series and getting ready for this. Now, last week, I was so wondering how the church was going to respond because I spent the whole message talking about Avenue Kids, you know, and I'm not going to lie to you. I was prepared today to preach the same message again. Like, I was like, you know what? If they don't get it, we're going after it again. Like, I was ready for it. And, man, you guys, God is good. You stepped up. You stepped up. Since last Sunday, 29 of you signed up to help Joanna. 29, right? Seth's one of them. Yeah. He's like, I got to motivate myself. 29 of you. That means right now on her roster, she has 56 adults ready to serve kids. Man, and families. I'm just beyond ecstatic. And I'm actually excited about the number of men who signed up. Well done. Well done. And I hope that continues to grow. If you're like, oh, okay, I don't have to sign up now. No, we want you to be a part of this ministry because it's incredible, and we want to be able to help. Liz is a part of that, part of the state, helping with kids ministry around the state. We want to be able to help the other churches in the state of Ohio and the Church of God to be like, you know what, here's what we're doing at Avenue, and here's how we can help. You know, even more from a perspective as a pastor to help other churches say, Pastor, come on, you need to get on the ball with this. You got to communicate this and show it. So well done. I'm so grateful for you. That was last week. So we can transition into something else I wanted to talk to you about today, and then it's going to move us into next week as we end the series next week. But first of all, here's what I want you to know, is that everyone has a desire to belong and to be accepted. Did you know that? Everyone does. The most introverted person in the world wants to be accepted. I don't know if you know that. But I have a hunch that every one of you is like, yeah, because I want to belong. I want to be accepted, right? It's just because that's just human nature. We all want to belong and we all want to be accepted to whatever it is that we want to belong and to be accepted to. Now listen to this. Feelings of isolation and loneliness are common for those with a disability or poverty. Let me say that again. Feelings of isolation and loneliness are common for those who have a disability or for those who are in a poverty situation. Let me say this. A caring friend can have lifelong results. A caring friend can have lifelong results. So today, what I want to do is I want to dive into the importance of helping those who are the least of these, helping those who are living in poverty, helping those who are struggling in relationships, helping those who have disabilities, helping those who have special needs. We want to dig into that today, and I want to use a story to show you, and then we're going to transition kind of here in a few minutes. We're going to do this a little differently here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to look in Mark chapter 10. If you're new with us or new to church, there's 4 accounts on the life of Jesus. I like to say this all the time because I always believe that I don't assume that anybody out there knows exactly what it's all about. So there's 4 accounts of the life of Christ in the New Testament or in the Bible, and it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So we're going to dive into Mark's account of Jesus, and there's an incredible story in there that I wish more people would pay attention to, because when you think of deity, a lot of times when we look at deities, when we look at any kind of a God figure throughout history, most times, most of the gods that we experience throughout history are gods who are powerful and mighty, and in a sense of that they don't have time for the lowly scum of the humans of the earth or the poor or the hurting. It's all about power and control, power and control. And Jesus, for some reason, is completely opposite of what we see in history, what we see in culture, what we see in our world. And this is why this is so significant. This is why one of the reasons I follow Jesus, but it's more importantly why God is so good. All right, so Mark chapter 10, here's this story, starting in verse 46. So then they, meaning Jesus and the disciples, reached Jericho, which is a city, and as Jesus and his disciples left town, a large crowd followed him. Right, this is common. This is normal. Wherever Jesus went, the word gets out about Jesus, we got to go. And more times than not, it's because Jesus puts on a good show, right? It's just how it works. You know, everybody loves, you know, when somebody does something that the world has never seen before, right? This is just how it happens. A blind beggar named Bartimaeus. Now, I love this sentence. A blind beggar named Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, was sitting beside the road. Now, there's so much to unpack here. The reason is, and I'm not going to unpack it forever, but like you got to think about this. Jesus, the Son of God, healing and doing miracles, telling people to follow him. A rabbi's coming along, and he's not just any normal rabbi. Like this rabbi doesn't look like everybody else. He's not decked out in all of the rabbi kinds of stuff. Just a simple, ordinary, normal guy. That's what it kind of seemed like. But yet he would teach with authority. He could do things that the rabbis in that culture couldn't do. Like it was like, what is this guy? So there's obviously a huge amount of people following. In fact, we know this, right? We've just got done reading the Sermon on the Mount. And after the Sermon on the Mount, thousands of people started following him. Like Jesus didn't just have a group of people. He didn't just have groupies. No. He took the whole concert with him. Everybody with me? Right? And so this is going on, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here's this sentence, a blind beggar, so they describe the type of person that he is, and then they name him. So obviously, they know the guy. And he was sitting beside the road. This was common. This was normal. If you had some kind of a disability, if you had some kind of a disease, if you were poor, this would have been normal. You would have been sitting on the side of the road, and people would have known you, and they would have seen you. And then there's, you get this story. Like Jesus talks about a parable, and he brings up this idea of the Good Samaritan. And there's somebody on this side needs help, needs love, needs wanted. Yet people are like, well, I'm getting away from that. People know who Bartimaeus is. And he's a blind beggar. I don't want anything to do with that. When Bartimaeus heard Jesus of Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I mean, this generation of people, this generation of Jews, they were desperately desiring that the Messiah was going to come. They have been waiting and waiting and waiting. God had been silent for 400 years. 400 years. They have desperately been waiting for something, and now the word is out that this Jesus of Nazareth might just be the guy. We've heard the things he's done, and now all of a sudden, he knows it. He knows Jesus is coming, and he begins to shout, Jesus, Son of David. Why is this so significant? Because they all know, even a blind beggar who was Jewish knows that the Son of God is coming from the line of Son of David. They know that. They know he's coming from David. And so he just wants to make sure, he's saying, hey, have mercy on me. Because most of the time they believe they are the way they are because of the sins of their fathers. I'm blind because somebody in my history has sinned. Help me. Picture it, though. There's a massive crowd. There's a massive crowd following Jesus. He just got done doing incredible things in the city of Jericho. People are coming, and now this blind guy, the one on the side of the road that was like, ooh, gross, and we got to walk around him. And he yells, Son of David. Here's what the crowd says to him. Be quiet. Be quiet. Many of the people yelled at him, but he only shouted louder. It's as if, I don't care what you have to tell me. Son of David, have mercy on me. Now I sit here and I think about how many people are like this guy. If you want to take a note and take a picture of how we are to be, you don't care what people think and you don't care what people say, you just want Jesus. I love these people. Because for me, I wasn't a Christian either. I didn't grow up in the church. Now, I so desperately believe the church is so significant that we need to raise our kids in the church, right? That's what I talked about last week. But we as the church should be the ones who are doing everything we possibly can to get as many people to the cross, to Jesus, as we possibly can. Are you with me? This is why our mission statement is, we exist to help people see, find, and follow Jesus. We are doing everything that we possibly can, do whatever we can to get people to Jesus so they don't have to shout like Bartimaeus did. But nothing is going to stop him from yelling to Jesus, right? When Jesus heard him, he stopped and said, tell him to come here. So they called the blind man. Cheer up. Oh, now the tone has changed. Shh. Cheer up. They said, come on, he's calling you. It's kind of like you won the golden prize. Like we're really excited for you now. That's right, because a massive crowd was following Jesus. It's almost like, does Jesus have any time to help anybody, such as a guy who was a blind beggar? Oh my goodness. Jesus has all the time in the world. In fact, that's the point. Bartimaeus is the point of the story. It's not those following him. It's what he is going to do. And that's the point. That's what we're trying to get at. So Bartimaeus threw aside his coat, which is a big deal, jumped up and came to Jesus. That's the point. I mean, the only thing that he had was his cloak. This translation says coat, but it was a cloak. And if you had a cloak, it meant everything to you. Because of the changing of the seasons, you didn't have anything, and you were able to store things into the cloak because it's basically the only thing you had. They didn't have shopping carts then, right? They don't have refrigeration. They don't have any of that stuff. There is no go down here to this, to the men's house that you can stay the night for, go down here to the women's place where you can stay the night. There is nothing. All he had was what he could carry on him. And so a cloak was a big thing. And Jesus asked for him, and he throws everything that he has away for that moment. Everything is gone. Why? Because when Jesus calls, you go. And that's it. And so he jumped up and he came to Jesus, and it says this, what do you want me to do for you? I love that. I love that about Jesus because he's asking all of us that same question. What do you want me to do for you? And Jesus asks, and he says, my rabbi, I want to see. I mean, come on. That right there will change his entire life. Not just because he wants to be able to see the things, but it can change his life. He can get a job. He can do whatever it is that he needs to do to survive because he just wants to see. And that's all it was. Jesus, I just want to see. And Jesus said to him, go, for your faith. I mean, we talk about this all the time a part of Avenue. He says, go, for your faith. Your faith. Your faith has healed you. And instantly the man could see, and he, look at this, followed Jesus down the road. How cool is that? Like, there's so much significance into this story. The point of this story is, how do we react? Go, for your faith has healed you. And the reason that so many of us struggle in this world is because I don't know if we really want Jesus. I don't know if Jesus is coming along the side. But when you want Jesus, and he asks you the question, what do you want? Right? And Liz did this whole entire message on this idea of seek, ask, and knock. He said, I want to see. And do you know why his faith healed him? And you're like, because it should say Jesus healed him, right? He says, no, your faith. Do you know why? It's because his faith believed that Jesus was the Son of God. Nothing else. He left everything he had on the side of the road, went to him. I just want to see. And the only one that could heal him, the only one that had any worth in his life was Jesus. And he believed that. And now he's a person of righteousness. And just a few minutes earlier, he was known as a blind beggar. Right? So the question is that we're going to discuss today is, how do we help others see Jesus? How do we as a church help others see Jesus? How do we as a church help people find Jesus? That's really what we're going to get into today. In Luke chapter 14, real quick, I just want to share this with you. I don't have it up on the screen, but in Luke chapter 14, Jesus reminds us that when we include people who are poor or have disabilities, we are the ones, you and I are the ones who receive the greatest blessings. The greatest blessings, because he goes on to say, and he talks about, because yours is the kingdom of God. When we begin to put the needs of people above our own, and when we begin to help people see this, your blessings is the kingdom of God. He actually goes on to say in other scriptures is that when we help the least of these, do you know what it says? We help Jesus. So it's almost like, I don't ever see Jesus. Then you need to start helping people. You want to see Jesus? Help someone. Be the point of what Jesus did with Bartimaeus. That's what we're going to get into today. That's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to invite Kurt and Stacy up here. We're going to transition here, and we're going to talk about some things that we're doing as a church, and more importantly, what you can do and how we can get involved even more. You're like, wait a minute, Nate, you just asked me to help with kids last week. And I know I did. But there's more to it than just that. And so let me move this out of the way. We'll move a little side. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so here's some questions. And, of course, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just going to say, I'm going to just trick you and figure this out, right? So if you don't know, this is Kurt, Stacy. Happily married, right? Or woefully married? Happily married. Kurt's excited, right? No, and they've been doing some really cool things with the church, in the church, and I think, we'll show you a picture. This is one of the pictures that we have, and I don't want to keep going in and out, but we're going to talk about some different ministries that you guys oversee or partner with, and we'll go from there. So we're going to talk about Matthew 25 first. Now, how many of you guys have ever, let me see, you've helped with Matthew 25 at some point? Oh, good, a number of you. Man, that's awesome. So this is the 9 o'clock hour, too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I know, right? Sometimes they just kind of stare at you. You never know how they're feeling. So, all right, so here's some questions. Explain to us, what is Matthew 25 ministry?
So Matthew 25 is a nonprofit here in the Mansfield area, and their stated mission is working together to meet needs as they build relationships.
Okay.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Statement. And they do that through food distribution events every month in Richland, Ashland, and Wayne counties. And they provide fresh produce, which Everyone knows how expensive that is.
Yes, it is.
And shelf-stable foods and fun foods. They do home deliveries as well. And COVID-19 has hampered the relationship building a little bit, but by being there every month and lovingly interacting with these people, building trust and relationships with these people, and many of them are, as you said, they're people that are often overlooked.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, they are. And, it's led by a wonderful man, Jeff Wright, who's actually an Ontario graduate. And, I
Yeah.
can throw that in there. And you don't have to be around Jeff or his crew to see how much people matter.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to work with them.
That's good. So, why do we get involved? Why does this church? Why are we very much involved with this?
Okay, so just as I said about people mattering to Jeff in Matthew 25, you don't have to be here at Avenue very long to see how much people matter, and that we're trying to live that out here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We want our church to be continually and intentionally, important word, intentionally, on mission to serve God by serving others.
Yeah.
We want to be relevant to this community, and by being at these kinds of ministries, these events in a significant way, we are doing just that.
Yeah.
And it's a ready-made ministry. We don't have to organize anything. We just show up one Saturday morning a month and be the hands and feet of Christ.
Yeah. I years ago, one of the pastors I like to watch and enjoy, I remember watching this on a Sunday morning, and they were talking about this, like they were doing a campaign, but it was kind of like what we do in the fall, a little bit different. But what I thought was so fascinating, he constantly communicated to the church, like, if there are people already out there knocking it out of the park, let's just go where they're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel for ourselves.
And that fits in so well with our missional community model, right?
Yep.
If 2 or 3 missional communities took Matthew 25 as their service project, again, they wouldn't have to organize anything. They just show up on a Saturday morning once a month and work for about 4 or 5 hours and serve their neighbors.
That's right. That's really good. So the question is, I think the last one is, why should we be involved as individuals now, not just the church? Why should we as individuals be involved? And what are the details?
Okay, so I'm going to take this to a personal level.
Okay.
For the most part. The Bible is pretty clear that a true and saving faith is evidenced by acts of loving acts of service, right?
That's right.
We aren't saved by our, quote, good works, but we are saved to do good works.
Yeah.
And
that's really important.
It is.
Yes, to understand that.
And you already stole my thunder, because I was going to read just a little bit out of Matthew 25.
Yes.
Because I can't say it any better than this, but then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And then the cool part, what you just said is, and the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for the least of these brothers or sisters of mine, you did for me.
Yeah, that's really good.
So whenever we serve somebody out of pure motive, somebody that can't possibly pay us back, the least of these, right?
Yep.
It's as though we are serving Christ himself.
That's right.
What a great name for a ministry, Matthew 25.
Yeah, Matthew 25.
That's right where that comes from.
Yeah.
But as far as the details go, except on holiday weekends, Matthew 25 serves Mansfield on the first Saturday of every month.
Okay.
Out of the parking lot at Senior High.
Yep.
Right. And
except if it's a holiday weekend.
Right. And it is a holiday weekend here in September. So with Labor Day,
second Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be September 11th. And the event actually runs from 8 a.m. to 1. But things are a little bit slow getting started until that fun food truck arrives.
It takes forever to get there.
He's been doing better.
He has been doing better.
So, he's been trying to get there around 8:30. So, people can show up around 8:30. That would be great.
Yep.
We unload that truck, organize the food. We stock up all the delivery vehicles that are doing the home deliveries. And then we serve each and every guest that comes through the line, right? And by the end of the day, we fed about 2,500 people.
Yeah, which is good. And deliveries, like people, maybe I just missed it. Home deliveries?
Yeah, home deliveries for seniors and shut-ins.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can do that. All we have to do is pull up and say, I'll be willing to be a deliverer.
Yeah, they'll give you a sheet of names.
Okay.
You need to work this out with Jeff Wright ahead of time. Because
Okay.
he has these delivery routes all set up.
Yep.
And they'll give you a sheet of names. We have people that come and deliver to 6 people. We have people that deliver to 70 people.
Yeah.
Right? So you can do as much as much as you want, really.
Yep.
But then again, we serve every guest that comes to senior high.
Yeah.
And usually the food lasts right up to the very end. And
Yes. Yeah.
Works out very nice.
Which is good. And I want to say this too. Like, we've been doing this since last summer?
It's been almost a year and a half now.
Yeah.
May 2020.
Okay. And so it is outdoor every month. And even like January, February.
Yes.
I happened to miss the Saturday that was freezing as freezing could be, but she didn't, so it was great. So thank goodness for that. But like it's rain, sun, snow, shine.
That's right. And I will say, I don't know, about the 18 times we've done it, I don't think it's rained yet. I shouldn't say that, but that's the case.
That way we've been there, right?
It is hot sometimes.
It is so hot sometimes.
Yeah, so come prepared.
Yeah, bring water. But it's really a neat thing. That just is kind of the example of that picture. And so, but it's a great thing, and especially during the warm months, if we're able to, depending on, like we bring our kids, because we want our kids to understand serving from the get-go. So they're 6 years old, and they're not there every month, but when we feel like, what we could do this month, it's not too hot, or something like that, we would take Avery and Ezekiel and teach them how to serve, and Ezekiel gets right into it, especially at the food truck stuff, and then they get bored, and then we have things for them to do. But outside of that, we're wanting to teach them how to serve, but this is for anybody to do.
Yes, it is. It truly is.
It's really good. All right, so that's Matthew 25. Again, if you want more information about Matthew 25, or if you're a missional community leader, you're like, maybe my group should be a part of that. I want you to come and find Kurt. They also oversee our mission ministry, and so once the lobby is done out there, there will be a wall dedicated strictly to missions.
Yes, sir.
And
I'll show you the events that are upcoming, what they can sign up for. And again, we want to get to the point where we have mission projects for every missional community.
Yeah, that's right.
And that they can come there and choose what projects they want to work on.
That's great.
We have a ways to go to get there, but that's the goal.
Absolutely. So missional community leaders, you heard that. We want to get you involved. All right, so Stacy, let's talk about Love Incorporated.
Okay, Love Incorporated is a national chapters everywhere, which brings churches together to serve. It's non-denominational to serve in your area.
Okay.
For us as our church, we partner with them by providing personal care items and cleaning supplies through our Loving Pantry, which is right over there.
Yeah, right through that door. Yeah.
So what they do, they're like a clearinghouse. They get applications from people who need help in the area, and then they have different churches that partner in different ways. And like I said, our pantry is just cleaning supplies and personal care items. So toilet paper, shampoo, deodorant, a slide shows every week on Sunday before service that has the whole list of things that we need in our pantry.
Yeah.
But if you need more information on that, I'm happy to provide it. Then they send me the names of the people in the community that need deliveries. I contact them. We set up a time. We deliver generally on Wednesdays. We don't want to go alone. We want to go with a group if we can. So we meet around 6 o'clock. We load up the car and we take stuff to the family that's in need. And we deliver that. We pray with them. We invite them to church. We try to be the hands and feet of Jesus to people who are needing. Thanks to the generosity of the church in the last 14 months, we were able to serve 72 families.
Oh, wow.
Those are families that need a hand up, families that suffer from domestic violence situations, recovering addicts. We have people that have disabilities
Yeah.
that aren't able to get out.
Yep.
We serve people who have been incarcerated and are just now getting out and have nothing and need a start. And some of those people have children with them, that they're just getting back together and they need anything they can get. So we take them the cleaning supplies and personal care items. Love Inc. also is opened a resale store at 118 Park Avenue West, where they'll take donations and then resell it, kind of like the Goodwill model, but unlike Goodwill, they take their proceeds and they use them to further their mission. So they want to try and educate the people that are applicants, here's a finance class for you, or here's how to interview for a job that you need. And if that applicant comes and helps in the store, then they can get points to maybe buy clothing in the store that'll help them with
Yeah.
the job interview. So they need help with intake people to clean the donated items, people to help sell the donated items, and then they're always looking for people to help teach, the classes on finance or how to interview. It's a really great organization, and it's like Matthew 25. It's already set up, and we can just go help them and be the hands and feet to the people right here in our community. And
Yeah.
there's real need right in our back door. I got to say, there has not been a time when we haven't made a delivery that I haven't been so humbled by how God is so good to me. And we just pray for those people and pray that they can come to know Jesus too.
I don't know if I missed this or not. Like, when does the store open, or has it opened?
The store has opened.
It has opened.
I'm not real sure on
Sure.
the times, but it's on
Right.
their website. If you want more information, you can go to Love Inc. website of Mansfield, and that will give you more information. Like I said, it's a local chapter here in Mansfield.
That's very good. And so one of the things that we do is that sometimes, like, we will have people come in during the week or something who needs help or things like that. And one of the goals is, again, Love Incorporated has done is, instead of a person going from, say, church to church to church to church, and we don't know that, they're trying to help us to communicate, to say, hey, we want you to connect with Love Incorporated, and then we give them their information, or we try to find a way to get them there, or something like that, so that we're not just doing a handout. We're finding a way to do a hand up, and which is really good. It's really important. Now, if the Holy Spirit moves in us, we'll find a way to do something, personally. But other than that, most of the time, we're trying to get them to Love Incorporated, because they have a much more sophisticated process to make sure that they're not doing this again in a year or a few months. Like, it's a long-term solution.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
which is really good. Again, that's another way that we want you to get involved or be connected. And if you want to help on Wednesdays when we go delivers, I want you to contact Stacy or see her after service, and we'd love to help you get connected and how to do that. And you get to go and meet families, pray with families, and invite them to Avenue. Let them know that there's a church that loves and sees them the way that God sees them. Yeah. And lastly, I want to share with you real quick is another ministry that we're a part of, which is Richland Pregnancy Services. Liz, come up here. You do this way. I want you to come up here. We're going to do this. She's way more in understanding. You sit there. I'll get up. Oh, can you take his mic, though? And these are some of the things, highlights I said. But will you share with us, what is Richland Pregnancy Services, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, so this is something that's really near and dear to my heart because of a courageous and amazing woman that decided to take her pregnancy full term. We have Avery, so Richland Pregnancy Services works with families, women single and married, to give them the tools they need and empower them to live out being a fully functioning mother and father for this child that God has a plan and purpose for. And so they don't hesitate or make any any excuses for that. The goal is for a woman to be able to go full term with this baby, and then from there decide what they should do from there. But so Richland Pregnancy Services offers many opportunities for these mothers. Even in our own church congregation, women in our church have benefited from this ministry.
That's right.
Because it's not just for someone who is making that decision as to whether to keep or abort. This is also women who just need just some help, maybe with diapers or things that they're in need of in their store that they offer at the pregnancy services, or maybe it's formula, maybe it's a parenting class. And so one of the things I love about the Richland Pregnancy Center is as a family comes in and is needing services, one of the things that they offer is a ultrasound, a 3D, I believe,
3D
is what
ultrasound.
they are able to offer, so that now this isn't just a pregnancy test. This is a real life that is being born and growing inside of the mother's womb. And so it gives them the opportunity to do that. Also, what they offer is from there, they don't just leave them there. They walk with the woman and the father, or either one. In helping them, they provide classes, like I said, on parenting. They also offer mentoring. So there's opportunities to be a mentoring mom, a mentoring dad, to be able to walk and counsel these families as they go to full term. They also have a store within their organization that, just like Love Inc., they can earn points for. They're like baby bucks or something like that. I can't remember the name. It's real clever, but they offer those, and so then they can go to the store and go and use those bucks to purchase a stroller, to purchase diapers, to purchase clothing items or things that they would need in order to bring this baby home. And so it's just a really awesome ministry that we get to partner with. We realize that not every woman makes the decision to keep the child, but what an awesome opportunity that we have in our community to have an organization that believes that every single life has purpose and a meaning, and God has a purpose for their life. And so anyway, it's
Now,
just
isn't it also set up too where I can't remember if you said this or not about miscarriages, and if somebody
Yes.
does abort a child, though,
right.
there's
Yes.
still ministry.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So one thing that I think is a huge blessing to the community too is that we know that miscarriages are something that is really quiet. Many people don't express when they've gone through this, and what Richland Pregnancy Center does is they have a whole care package that goes and is mailed to a family who is walking through that. And so in that is a devotional tools that they need, ways to grieve, and then they offer counseling to walk beside them as well. Also, if a person has decided to choose to abort, they don't just leave them there. It isn't this, now you're not a part of us. No, they provide counseling and services as that person walks through those decisions as well. And so I think that's another great way that we can partner.
Mm-hmm.
As a church, our senior fellowship ministry that meets this first and third Tuesday of the month, they have taken on Richland Pregnancy Center as their ministry to pray for. In the lobby, they offer information of things that they're in need of right now.
Mm-hmm.
They also have provided the miscarriage boxes, have put pampering things and stuff like that.
Which they are really neat, and they are put together very well. So like when a woman does receive that, it's like you can tell there's been some effort put into this to let them know that you're loved and valued. You don't have to do this alone.
One of the things that we can partner with Richland Pregnancy Center is to go to the missions inlet that we will be having, and we'll have a list of things that they're in need of. Like you'll see out in the lobby today, I left that out there intentionally this week to see there's a stroller and a potty seat and things like that, because you might be at the place like we are to say, we're done having babies. So we can give these items that are gently used to Richland Pregnancy Center to give them the opportunity for these mothers and fathers to have. So if you'd like to bring in those items, they're always in need of all kinds of things. Also, if you are interested in being partners of Richland Pregnancy Center, you can be generous to their organization, and you can also be generous with your time. So you can become a mentoring mom or a mentoring dad, or work in their offices. We've been very blessed to have people part of Avenue who are in there on a weekly basis serving at Richland Pregnancy Center. So it's a great organization to get involved.
And I would say For some of you, watching online and listening here today, I know sometimes you can be like, Nate, this is uncomfortable, like maybe that's out of my comfort zone. It could, whatever the reason is, and I totally understand that. But I've always lived with this idea, this motto, that the safest place for any person in the planet or in our world to be is right in the center of God's will. Does that make sense? The safest place that any Christian could be is right in the center of God's will. If you are outside of the God's will, that is a scary place to be. And for all of us who call ourselves Christians, the safest place for us to be is doing what Jesus is already doing. And that's loving on the people, the blind beggar, that not many people are willing to love on, to do. And so that's the point of the church. You want to make a difference in our world. If you want to have the greatest impact, if you want to know that your life had purpose, serve someone. And more times than not, serve someone who is typically not served in our world. And it's so easy, listen to me, it's so easy to say, well, it's because they're lazy. Or it's so easy to say, they just need to get a job. And I hear that all the time, and I get it. I understand where you're coming from. But remember, with Jesus, there is no stipulations, right? Salvation to you is free, and it's free to me, right? No stipulations, no strings attached. And so somewhere in our heart, we've got to get to the idea is that every person on the planet deserves love. And so the safest place for all of us to be is right in the center of God's will. So we want you to serve. We want you to be a part of this. Every person who's a part of Avenue Church who at least calls themselves a Christian should be serving in some capacity. More times than not, we want you to do it through missional communities. But if you're not a part of a missional community, which we're going to talk about in a few weeks, but we want you to serve. I want you to see one of us and say, how can I be a part of something like that? Or how can I be a part of a ministry of the church? And we'll find a way to get you connected or serving in some way. So I want to pray for us today, and then Liz is going to end with some homework, and then we're going to transition to next week as we finish this series up. But we have a few more important things to talk to you about next week, and then, man, we hit the ground running, and I'm so excited. All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for our time together. Thank you for all of us that are watching or here today. Again, it's not a typical message series. We're really trying to dive into the heart of following Jesus, trying to be what Jesus has called us to be so that one day he will tell all of us in this room, watching online, well done, good and faithful servant. That's the goal. That's the goal for all of us. So, Father, I pray today that you would help us to be people, men and women who are serving and a part of some kind of action ministry that we're a part of here at Avenue Church. God, I thank you for these ministries. We want to pray a blessing over these ministries that we talked about today. God, thank you for their willingness to step up and serve. They're not making much money at all, but yet they're making a difference in our world and making a difference right here in Richland County. And that we get to be a part of what you're doing in so many lives. So God, we love you. Thank you. It's in Jesus we pray. Amen.